Can foreigners buy and own land and property here in Vietnam? I'm filming this video today from the beautiful city of Hoi An. And of course, as we look around at real estate in this country, it obviously brings to mind the question of, well, can foreigners actually buy property here in Vietnam? So let's have a look at the rules. They're very similar to the way the rules work in Singapore and many other destinations when it comes to foreign ownership. The reality is, here in Vietnam, foreigners cannot own, on a freehold basis, landed properties here in Vietnam. Usually we can own the buildings, we can own a portion of apartments in new apartment blocks or residential housing developments, but they are usually on 50 to 70 year terms. And at the end of that leasehold term, we can apply to the owner or apply to the government to have an extension of that term, but it will only ever be a leasehold. Now, of course, that means we need to start thinking about depreciation of that investment, because naturally, as we get closer and closer to the end of that term, the value may depreciate very quickly. So if you're looking to invest into the market, into the real estate market here in Vietnam, we need to be very mindful of this. Now, of course, one of the other areas a lot of Australian expats want to get exposure to is the rapid growth in the commercial space here in Vietnam. And very similar to the residential real estate market here, we can own the buildings, but we cannot own the land on a freehold basis. So in that instance, we would need to structure an agreement with the landowner to own the building. That might be a factory, a warehouse, some sort of commercial property, and derive an income and a return from that investment. Again, in that instance, they are often 50 to 70 year terms, and we can apply for an extension. Now, are there ways around this? Well, there are a couple of ways that we can get that long-term exposure to both the residential and commercial real estate markets in Vietnam. One is investing via a real estate investment trust that may have that local ownership built into it and give you that long-term exposure to a diversified real estate investment here in Vietnam. Of course, option two, perhaps a little more difficult for many Australian expats, is to marry a Vietnamese citizen. And in that instance, often you're granted the same rights as a Vietnamese citizen when it comes to property ownership. So there you have it, a bit of an insight into investing in property, residential and commercial, right here in Vietnam.